Hola, hola. How are you, Latinistas? Thank you so much for being here. Can you guys please let me know if you guys can hear me okay in the chat really quickly? Yes! I'm so excited for today's talk all about Instagram engagement. So before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about the Latinista and who we are. So first of all, my name is Jennifer, and I'm part of the Latinista leadership team here in Los Angeles. So the Latinista was founded in 2012, and we have a mission of helping Latinas and women of color to elevate their career or launch their own business. And we offer, dynamic workshops just like this one, so you guys can achieve your goals, whether it's in your career or whether it's in your business. And we have chapters in New York, Miami, Chicago, Los Angeles, and San Diego, and and a growing community on social media as well. So I am so excited to have Mari from Latinx Marketing join us today. And teach us all about Instagram engagement. So Mari, feel free to come up on screen. Hi Mari, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am so good. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And I'm gonna go ahead and present you to our amazing Latinistas, and then I'm gonna be handing it off to you, okay? All right, so let me tell you guys all about Mariana. Mariana is such a badass, and I found her through Instagram, of course. So Mariana is the founder and lead marketing strategist at Latinx Marketing, which is an Instagram marketing agency dedicated to educating jefas and Latinistas on how to use and profit off of Instagram. She started her business in early 2021 because she saw huge growth of entrepreneurs within the Latinx community. And now she's just here, doing her own thing and teaching us how to use Instagram for our business to grow our communities, and make it happen. So feel free to add anything else, Mariana, and we're ready whenever you are.
Okay, no, that was excellent. Great introduction. Yeah, you did it. You covered all the bases.
Yeah. All right. So take it away.
Okay, let me make sure that my presentation is here. Hi, you guys. This is like so interesting. I'm so used to Zoom, so I like see faces, but now I see a chat, and I'm like, okay, I could dig this. Okay, so can you guys see my screen? I can't for some strange reason. Let me check. Yes. Okay, cool. Let me. I'm like trying to see if I can control this. Okay, I'm gonna have to just share my screen, and I'm gonna pause like in the middle of the presentation because I can't see the chat anymore if I'm on the screen. Okay, so welcome to the Keep Them Engaged Hefa mini webinar. So I've hosted this webinar a couple of times now, and it is honestly a great intro into engagement and what that means for people on Instagram. So I want to do a brief intro. If you don't know who I am, I'm Mari. My full name is Mariana, but I go by Mari, and this is my amazing team. I always give them a shout out because let's be real, I probably wouldn't be here without them. So, and pretty much I am your go-to Instagram guru, ready to help you elevate your gram. And so 3 work fun facts about me is I have a bachelor's degree in marketing, a certificate in digital marketing from UCLA, and I'm currently pursuing my master's in marketing analytics. So if you don't see a trend, I'm kind of obsessed with marketing. It is totally a thing. And before this, I used to work for startup companies. So I don't really have experience in the corporate world. So I am a very get down, like bootstrap, like let's go kind of gal. So like I've learned a lot about running a business because of that. And I am obsessed with everything Instagram. Like I am telling you, like I am probably the only weirdo that stays up on Sunday nights reading all the emails about all the Instagram updates because I just am obsessed with Instagram. It's literally like not a joke. And the reason is because I want to bring opportunities to small business owners like you and I through Instagram. Because I truly do believe that if you use it wisely and work with the algorithms, it will work in your favor. 2 fun facts about me is I love a good Cadillac or margarita. Those are my favorite drinks on this planet, and you can probably find me drinking one every Friday. I am a plant mom, so you can see a couple of my plants back here, and a dog mom to an Australian Shepherd named Charlie. So he's not here right now because afterwards he would start barking and then that would be bad. So, but yeah, so that's a little bit about me. And so I want to take a moment and just like breathe. Because I mean, it's Monday, we're tired, it's 4 p.m. and like just inhale. And then exhale, because honestly, Instagram can be so stressful, and each one of us faces some sort of stress on Instagram, whether that is like not reaching enough people, your impressions are low, your reach is low, your views are low, whatever it is that you hate about it, it's okay. It will be okay. And so I want you guys to comment in the chat. What is your biggest Instagram stressor? Like if you were to have the number one thing that you're like, I hate this about Instagram, like please feel free to share them in the comments section. I'm back so I can see your chat now. So feel free to type them. Also, thanks for liking my mic. It's like a Yeti, I think. Someone recommended it to me. Okay, so some of the biggest stressors is too much content being posted too often. Okay. And my stressor is not being able to turn clicks into money. Okay. How do we know what our impressions are? Okay. Too much content. Feel like I can't keep up. I feel like that tends to be the biggest problem as well. Too many ads. Interesting. Okay. I don't seem to run into that problem, but interesting to see. How do we know what our impressions are for any? I know that's like more of a direct question than it is like like a stressor. So you just need to go to your insights, and under reach, it's at the very bottom. That's how you know your impressions. Okay, so mainly this common thing, it says you have to have a certain number of followers or be certified in order to share links on your IG story. Huh. Interesting. That might not be an issue anymore. But we'll cover any other like specific questions at the end, but that might not be an issue to you anymore. Depends on how Instagram deals with that. Okay. So the common theme that I saw is really like the habit of having to post so much because we think that that is going to bring the most engagement to your profile. And so at the end of the day, this comes down to lack of engagement. Like literally almost, why do you want to post as often? Is because you want to bring in engagement. Someone mentioned that they can't change, they can't get money out of the amount of people that are engaging. And it's because there is no engagement usually due to the amount of times you're posting. But so let's break down the definition of engagement and what exactly that looks like, because I feel like people get confused about this. So I literally Googled this because I wanted to make sure that it is directly from the source. So engagement is defined as any time a user likes or comments on one of your posts. You can define engagement in separate ways, one specifically focused on likes and the other one focused on comments. It depends on the particular commercial needs, but any interaction by other users with the photo/video is considered engagement. And so really what engagement is all of the above. So it depends on what kind of key performance indicator you assign to that specific post that you are posting. So for example, if you have a quote that you post on Instagram, most likely you're intending for that to get a lot of shares and or saves because it is relatable. Then you are to focus on the likes and comments. So it really depends on what type of content you are posting, but it can look in all these different ways: shares, saves, tag you in a post, let's play a game, respond to a poll or question on stories, screenshot the story and then reshare it to your own, download or purchase, likes or comments, DMs and story responses, and pretty much the list can go on and on. And so let's take a step back. How do you calculate engagement? I feel like a lot of times we jump into Instagram and we forget about all the analytics that go behind it and how to make decisions and truly, what's the word? Make decisions from the numbers that are clear as day. So we think that things are going to work, but at the end of the day, are the numbers showing that it is? Maybe, maybe not. So I think one of the things that you can always come back to is calculating the engagement rate of your profile, and or that's the thing about engagement rate is that there are multiple engagement rates, but this is the generic one. So for an individual post, so add the number of likes and comments, divide it by the number of followers, and then multiply it by 100, which usually is your engagement rate. If we have time at the end, we can definitely calculate your engagement rate through an online source. But if not, I can always send the link to you guys so that you can all calculate your engagement rate one-on-one. And really, it's really what changes about this engagement rate is the number of engagements. And then if you want to base it off of your impressions or your reach, and that's the difference on the different engagement rates. So as you can see, I feel like a lot of people forget that engagement rate is really what dictates the success of a account and not the followers, because as you can see, followers goes into this equation. So if you have a large number of followers and at the end of the day not that many likes and comments, your engagement rate is definitely going to drop, right? So that's where people get so obsessed with getting all these followers and trying to get, like someone in the chat said, the swipe up or the link. And then it just becomes a whole issue where your profile is become like a whole mess because you've just been focused on the follower number. And so why you should know your engagement rate is really because it determines the success of your account. And like I mentioned earlier, it's not based on your followers, due to the fact that accounts really do, big business and brands look at your account as through the engagement rate rather than the number of followers. And this is why this is how I can show you this is true. And so in the space of marketing, there are influencers, right? Everyone that has or wants to be an influencer can be an influencer on Instagram and can partner with big businesses in order to get more widely known and or provide a service to the big business. So we have anywhere from nano influencers, micro influencers, mid-tier influencers, and so on and so forth. And pretty much, as you can see, regardless of their follower count, nano influencers still tend to exist because their engagement rate is just as high or even higher than a mega influencer or a macro influencer. We forget that this is actually a thing, and brands do look for this. They prefer to hire someone with an engagement rate that is high enough than someone that is having completely almost zero, like less than 1% or so, depending on their follower percentage. So it obviously this clearly shows you that regardless of the number of followers, you can still get hired and or create partnerships based on your engagement rate. And so I know that was a lot. So if we have any questions, we have one unanswered question. Is there a standard benchmark for engagement rate? And I knew that question was coming. So one of the things about engagement rate is that it depends. It depends on your follower count, right? So if you are like a mega influencer who has over 1 million followers, your engagement rate is probably going to be anywhere between 3 and 5%. And so that tends to be the average in the industry. But if you are a small business, which I'm sure most of us are, we tend to focus on an engagement rate closer to 10%. So mine's currently is, I believe, around 7.5 or 8. So we try to aim for that 10% and higher than 5%, because that will show that regardless of like how many people are on your entire followers count, on average, this is like what you rank. And one of the cool things is like in the previous slides where the engagement rate came into play, you can calculate engagement rate per post. So each post can definitely vary. So like I recently posted something that received over 200 plus likes and engagement, and comments got over 50 comments, but it was definitely one of the higher end engagement wise than something that I could have posted before, right? So it really depends on, and really what they look for is the average. They don't really go in and say like, oh, one posted better than the other. They want to be able to average it out. And they usually check within the last like 10 to 15 posts what your average engagement rate is. And that's what most engagement calculators that are online and are used by big brands calculate. So if no one else, let me see. I think that's about it with questions. So let's keep going a little bit more. So we have engagement strategies. So I'm going to break down pretty much like all the features on Instagram and how you can be the most effective and when it comes to engagement on there. So we'll start off with what type of engagement have you asked your audience to participate in? So like, have you asked them to click on a poll? Have you included call to actions in your posts? So what exactly do you currently ask them to do? And if you don't ask them to participate in, like, maybe that's why you lack an engagement. I feel like we often forget that people on Instagram are brain dead. And so feel free to type in the comments or in the chat what type of engagement you currently have been asking your audience to participate in while I continue this conversation. So I feel like oftentimes we forget that Instagram has been around for over like 10 years, which is crazy to think, but it's true. And with that, we have been building a habit of how we interact with the interface on Instagram. And most of the time we associate Instagram as being leisure time where, for example, Josie and Alex says that she doesn't really like to see the ads because she's like, I don't really want to go shopping. Like, I just want to see content. And so we've associated Instagram with leisure. Therefore, we hate to turn on our brains when we're on Instagram. And so a lot of the time, what happens is that when engagement is lacking is because you're not directing people to where exactly you want people to go when it comes to Instagram, or what do you want them to do. And so we'll break down how you can do this in the different features on Instagram. So Naomi says, we usually post ask us questions in stories, but I guess it would be smart to ask people on our comment post. I didn't even think of that. Thank you. Yeah. So if you put ask us a question, just warning, that is a bold move. And I've noticed that over time, people tend to be more comfortable with polls. And then as you continue to build that relationship with your audience, you can go ahead and ask them, have them input actual feedback. Because when it comes to the question sticker, recall when I said we don't like to put in energy, we have to put on our thinking caps in order to type a response or give you some feedback. And if people really do that, like that is like grade A like engagement, because people actually care to give their input. So definitely, if you are getting a high engagement when it comes to the question sticker, feel free, like high five your your audience, because it's really hard to definitely transition people to bring to engage in the question sticker. As far as putting them in the comments, I will definitely discuss a little bit more in regards to that. So let's keep going. So like I said, we often sit at home, post, cross our fingers, and we're like, okay, let's see if it does great. Yay, you know, and we don't really just like ask our followers of anything. We just say, you know, it's kind of in our brains to like things. So we're like, please like it, please like it. But we don't actually sit and say, hey, comment this in the comments, or say, hey, share this with your mejor Latinista. You know, we don't go ahead and do that oftentimes. And so people don't think about it. They're like, oh, okay, like I did my part, next. And so, which results in low engagement, which overall tells the IG gods, let's not show this to people. So Instagram rates your, your post based on how engaged people are on your post. Right? They immediately push it out to a certain amount of people, and they're like, okay, let's see if they interact with it. And as more people interact, then they are more likely to push it out on Explore, on hashtags, on search now. And you can see all of these. They're more likely to rank your post higher if it gets more engagement. But how is it supposed to get engagement if you're not directing people to engage with it? And so, like I said, the algorithm scores your post based on your engagement rate and the quality of and value of your post. The higher the score, the more reach and impressions, which overall engagement. And so I want to go over some start with the feature posting. One of the things that I've personally noticed that brings more engagement to posts is carousels. I tell all of my clients to never post a static post. Yes, this makes your job a little harder if you are a social media manager. If you are, I would highly suggest using Facebook Creator Studio, because that's the only scheduler that allows you to post carousels. But carousels is honestly the most useful when it comes to engagement, because again, we don't like to think. We've already trained our brains to like things automatically. And one thing that the CEO, Adam Mosseri, I will probably reference him several times because I consider him my BFF. And so what Adam said on his IGTV was that they rank the post based on how much time is spent on the post. So for example, if I'm scrolling on Instagram and I see something that has a carousel post that says like, hey, stop right there. Like, do you struggle with Instagram engagement? And then the next slide says, well, here's your solution. Next slide. I'm going to keep swiping until I get to the final solution, because it's told me like what I want. It solved the problem for me. without me even thinking of the problem. Therefore, I'm like, oh, I do have this problem. Let me go ahead and keep swiping and spend more time on it. And because I've spent so much more time on it, I am therefore more likely to engage with it, like by sending it to somebody or commenting something in the comments. So I am a huge fan of carousels. I personally don't post many static posts anymore because I truly think that they are just not as effective as they are carousels. Even if it is just like, because I have clients that are influencers, and sometimes I tell them post 2 pictures of yourself instead of 1, or go ahead and post 1 picture of yourself and then like a quote in the next one, or add the call to action in the next post, something around those lines where it can at least have some sort of swipe through, and therefore more people will spend a lot more time on that post. Even if it is an extra second, it still tells the algorithm like, hey, more people are spending time on this post. Why is that? And so it will recognize it and spread it out to more people. As far as sizing goes, one thing is that a lot of people post a square 1080 by 1080. It's on Canva. It's the one that says Instagram post. I personally don't use that. I use 1080 by 1350 because it takes up more real estate when you are scrolling on Instagram. And so it's kind of like, it's really not that big of a deal, but when it's kind of like a game, not a game, but a trick on your eyesight. You just see more, therefore your eyesight is definitely more likely to look at it than just a typical square. Again, this is just a tactic that you can use when it comes to posts in general. Call to action. I definitely include a call to action in the actual post. I include it in the post and in the caption. Again, we are so lazy when it comes to Instagram, like so lazy. It's ridiculous. And I mean, and we're all victims of it. Me too. Like I am like, if you don't have a call to action in your post, like I am not reading this giant paragraph of you expressing your entire version of, I don't know what, but it's just too long for me and I'm not going to read it. So adding a call to action to the actual post allows you to to automatically put it in their eyesight without actually having to read the caption if they're not as dedicated to you as they would as someone that you are just obsessed with. So one thing that actually came out maybe this week or last week was hashtags update. So hashtags has now been updated that you can put it in the caption. Therefore, you can use it to be on search. So Instagram has been testing this search option where you can go on the little, I think it's like a magnifying glass. Let me be real. Yeah, it's a magnifying glass. And so that portion is where you can search anything on Instagram. And that's really what their emphasis is for the next growth phase of them, is that you can add hashtags and that those words that you use are now going to be used as keywords in addition to the hashtag relevancy. Hashtags can be, what they have suggested, what Instagram themselves has suggested, is to be as specific to the post as possible. So what I tell people is use branded hashtags, use hashtags specific to your to the post itself, and then divide the rest depending on the what's it called? Oh my God, I'm blanking on it. On your pillars, So if, for example, if I talk about entrepreneurship, Instagram updates, and Instagram reels, I have different hashtags for each one that are specific to Instagram reels, Instagram updates, and then Instagram in general. So I would go ahead and mix and match those, but make them as specific. You don't want to use like hashtag Latina and then hashtag Instagram because they don't really flow together. So if you're going to choose like the Latina route, then choose the Latina one instead of using a mixture of Instagram and Latina. Um, so yeah. As far as locations go, I would definitely always choose a location at the top, because it does allow for discoverability, regardless if it doesn't seem like a huge deal. So if you know that your target market is Latinos, then target people in Miami, in Texas, in Brooklyn, in the Bronx, like in LA. There's so many different locations, and you can choose those locations based on where you know your target market is. And so provide value. So kind of like how I mentioned earlier, make sure that you are educating, entertaining, or problem solving when it comes to a post, because at the end of the day, that's really what gets people. Those are the three main ones that people love to see and they will engage with the most. But at the same time, keep it simple. I've seen so many people try to tell me like, hey, like, can I do like a post on like how hair follicles don't absorb sulfates and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what? I'm already disinterested because this is too scientific. If you were to just say, do not use sulfates because it ruins your hair, that is 10 times better than me going through the entire the science on how sulfates are bad for your hair and how the follicles or whatever. So I know that was a lot and we're just at post. So I want you to make like a small plan on how exactly you're going to implement the posting strategies that I just mentioned, or tactics that I mentioned. Let me see. Tool to schedule posts of your small business is Facebook Creator Studio. Facebook Business Manager, you have to have a business page on Instagram. Oh, yeah, they're called carousels. So sorry. And yes, 1080 by 1350. How important is learning how to make reels now? That is a whole topic that I can talk forever, and I promise we will get to reels. Okay, so reels. Reel strategy. So it is so important to learn how to do reels. Honestly, the reels opportunity is coming to not an end, but it is coming towards where competition is just excessive. It is forever going to be, it was great when it first started, and that's why I hosted a Reels challenge when I first started, because I wanted everyone to learn about Reels and to get into them ASAP, because Reels was definitely the opportunity to blow up your business. Like, it was the one opportunity that we had. And I'm not saying that it's not an opportunity now, but it is so much harder now because of the competition. But I'm not saying not to do them, and here's why. So Reels really allows you to connect with different people that are not following you. That is the one key thing about Reels. I will continue to swipe on Reels, and I see so many people that I've never seen before, and I continue to interact with them. Therefore, they follow me, I follow them, and we make that exchange. What happens with Reels is, someone mentioned, is like you're afraid to show up your face on video, and or you don't feel comfortable doing them. There's always a way to, I always like to say, there's a reason why you started your business. Therefore, you should be used to being out of your comfort zone, right? And so when you're uncomfortable, you grow. And so I highly suggest trying to focus on getting used to being in front of the camera. No one is born being used to in front of the camera. One of the things that I did to get used to being in front of the camera was actually filming myself on my personal page on Reels, talking about this book that I bought called 300 Questions About Me. I answered the questions. I made it funny. I made it funny to entertain myself, not anyone else. And that's really how I got comfortable on Reels. As far as strategies on Reels, the 2 to 3 seconds on Reels are crucial. They are so crucial. If I were to just sit here and be like, you would get bored. I bet you half of you got frustrated. You're like, okay, that was silent. Like, what is happening? So when it comes to those 2 to 3 seconds, they are so crucial. Our attention span on Instagram is so small. So that's why when I mentioned the post previously, your attentions, like the amount of time you spend on a post matters, even if it is just 1 extra second. And so 2 to 3 seconds, focus on those 2 to 3 seconds being what exactly you want people to know from you. Do you want people to follow you? Do you want people to be educated? Do you want people to think you're funny? Do you want to just do certain trends? Like what are those 2 to 3 seconds? Are you providing value? And always ask yourself, why should someone watch this? And they should know why in those 2 to 3 seconds. In order to continue to compete with the space nowadays, you have to be on point with transitions, outfit changes, and or trending audio. Trending audio is definitely key when it comes to building up a sort of, what's the word? Going a little bit more viral. So having a greater reach and or impressions on your reels, because so many people share audios. So that's how people click and find ideas. Therefore, people are still watching your audio, even if it is that they are searching for ideas. And so, like I mentioned, it brings awareness to your business. So always I think of it as like an ad. Like if I were to see an ad for your business, and I need to know immediately what exactly you are, who are you communicating this to, what should I know? Why should I follow you or therefore check out your profile? That should all be answered in a reel, especially if the goal of the reel is to bring in more people to your community. Always think of your target market when it comes to your reels, right? You want to make sure, are you speaking to them directly? Are you using slang that they entertain with? Are you using music that they entertain with? Are you speaking in Spanish? Are you speaking in Spanglish? Are you speaking in English? What languages do they talk in? So in most of my reels, you'll hear me say jefa, because that will definitely bring in Latinas or Latinx instead of someone that doesn't speak Spanish and doesn't even know what the word jefa means. Is it, like I mentioned, is it funny, educating, and entertaining? And always have a call to action in the actual reel with text. What is your call to action? What do you want people to do after this reel? Do you want people to go check out your profile? Do you want people to go follow you? Do you want people to read your caption? Do you want people to leave a comment? One of the cool things that I've been telling people is having a reel that brings people to an IGTV video that they might have created that is a longer form. And so that kind of brings them to their profile, making it a little more able to stalk the profile. And if you have your profile set up as what I like to call a mini website, then you should be good to go. Okay, again, a lot of information. So the silence was killer. Yes. So if anyone has any questions in regards to reels or posts, feel free to drop them. If not, we have a question. Let's see. It says, how important is learning how to make reels now? I still truly believe that they play a huge part in your Instagram strategy, because for the most part, hashtags, if you think reels, it has a ton of competition. Real hashtags is 20 times more. It's been on Instagram for so long. And so reels is getting, a lot, But what's cool about the algorithm is that it learns what you like. So I mentioned this on my stories a couple weeks ago, is like, do you ever retrain your Reels algorithm? So it is a learning algorithm. So the goal of Instagram is to always have you be on the app, because they want you to be addicted to it. That's literally why there's a whole movie based off of it, which is crazy. But they want you to be addicted to Instagram. Therefore, the Reels algorithm knows what you like and what you engage with. So, for example, when I first started on Reels, I would always see content based off of like all my competitors. So, what people were posting, like all my, I guess you can say, competitors that are not targeting Latinx, or just people, that's just Instagram experts in general. I would see all of them, but then I learned that it was a learning algorithm. Therefore, I started watching things um, that weren't that. So I have a best friend who is a makeup influencer, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just keep watching makeup stuff. Now it gives me a variety of things that not only are trending in general, but also in the makeup world. Therefore, I get more variety than I do when it comes to just my competition, because you don't want to be copying your competition every single time. So that's the cool thing about the Reels algorithm, is that it continues to learn. And so that's why it's important to make Reels now, because your content can fall into so many different categories, especially because of how the algorithm works. Yes, there is a lot to take in, and I'm so sorry that I'm like jam packing, but I hope you can reference this at the very end when you rewatch this. And so let's go over some story strategies. Always, one thing that I have been recommending is that I've noticed that if you post every day on stories, you won't get the same amount of reach. And so I've been telling people to post every other day on stories, because this is why the algorithm wants you to be on the app all the time. So if you're gonna show up on stories on Monday, for example, post on Tuesday, show up on stories again on Wednesday, and so on and so forth, the algorithm wants you to be on the app using all of its features at all times. So when the algorithm recognizes that you didn't show up on Tuesday, it's like, oh wait, like, come back, like we'll like boost your stories and show it to more people, right? It's kind of like they're announcing to my followers, like, hey, she's gone MIA, come check her out. It's the craziest thing. But usually whenever I do that, I will get the most reach. Therefore, letting your stories reset to 0 is really the tactic behind it. It's like they want you to kind of erase everything. Instead of posting several times a day, they want you to start over and then start new. So what I do is I post all of my stories at the one single point in the day. If I have something to say throughout the day, then I record it and then I post the next day. So if your goal is to increase the views on your stories, I would try that. If not, then you can continue to post every day. But it will continue. If you are using polls, question stickers, you can definitely continue to see a good amount of people instead of a giant drop. So for example, I average around 100 views or 100 people watching me on stories, but those days where I don't post and then I post on, let's say, on Tuesday, or let's say I post on Monday and then I don't post Tuesday and then post on Wednesday, I will see that my algorithm is 10 times higher. It'll go either to 250 or even 300 views if I have something important to announce, for example. And so I would, in terms of content, I would use behind the scenes, get creative, even if it is like your morning routine. you can go ahead and use that. Always use a swipe up if you are using IGTV. So IGTV allows you to actually swipe up regardless if you don't have the swipe up feature, which most of us don't. In terms of swipe up features, someone asked about it earlier. They are now changing it. It's not going to be swipe up anymore as of tomorrow, as of today. So as of today, they no longer will have the swipe up feature. They will only have a link sticker. So similar to how the stickers on stories currently work, there will now be a sticker called link. And they're currently testing to see who they're going to allow this link to. Because at the same time, Instagram realizes that having the swipe up therefore creates this market for people that want to have that swipe up. Therefore, there are bots and the follow for follow tactics and engagement pods just so that people can get there. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, because if you get there and you have 10,000 followers, but your engagement is crap, what does it matter? No one's going to see it regardless. So they recognize that. So they are testing to see if they're going to give the link sticker to everyone, or if they are going to allow it only for 10,000 followers or more. I understand why they're hesitant on this, and it's because of spam and just leading you to like a site that is not approved. So that's why I understand that. So yeah, that is the current update on swipe up. When it comes to your personality, feel free to be who you are on stories. I feel like that is the one place that you should not really care. Like when it comes to like, just be who you are. If you like to curse, go ahead and do it. Like there are definitely businesses that are loud and proud and they like to curse, and that's just the way that they talk. Do it. Who cares? Because you will attract anyone that is meant for you. I feel like Instagram, and we'll talk a little bit about this more in the future, but Instagram, we think in the mindset of lack when we shouldn't. There is literally enough for this entire world for everyone to have and live on. So definitely feel free to be who you are. You will connect and serve the people that are meant to be for you. There is also a close friends feature where you can go ahead and put VIP clients and or people that are on the verge to to actually hiring you for your services. For example, the Latinistas, they can add all of their members to the close friends list in case they aren't as active as they are on their platform. Versus Instagram, you can go ahead and add them to your close friends list and then engage with them there, and that be part of your marketing strategy on there. So there's a lot of things that you can do with stories. I know I'm like running out of time. So does anyone have any questions when it comes to stories? Let's see. Should we hashtag Reels? You should. It has been announced on the creators page that you should use hashtags on Reels. And with this search feature, it just adds a little bit more keywords that you can be used to find your Reels. I need a Reels 101. Yeah. Reels is definitely a whole topic in its own. I'm currently hoping to launch something soon when it comes to Reels. The reason I launched an engagement course instead was because you have to be able to understand the engagement before I tell you to go jump into Reels, and then you just like end up messing up your account the entire time. And then you're like, Marty, you told me. And I'm like, well, yeah. So that's currently why I haven't launched a course on Reels. Yes, use stickers. I've seen people do posts and put them on stories and put new posts. You recommend that? I don't. I don't recommend putting your new post on stories, but it's kind of interesting. And this is why. So Adam, my BFF, Adam, the CEO of Instagram, his biggest pet peeve is that he hates when people share posts to their stories, because he believes that regardless of who is engaging, if they follow you, they should be able to see your posts. So there's not really a purpose in posting it in your stories. That is his process. If you haven't seen, there has been a post that has been wandering around in the past couple of days that they are accordingly going to put what's the word? They're going to, oh my God, I don't remember what it's called, but they're going to petition against Adam because he is now creating a new version of sharing your post, which is only being tested currently, but people are freaking out about it regardless. They are posting it as a sticker. So you can reshare post via sticker, but the background of the post has to be original. So again, he just wants you to create original content in stories. And I have heard that when you do share content on stories, your views and the algorithm will notice it. Therefore, it will not reach that many people. But here's where I got confused, and that's where the Instagram needs to get their shit together. Honestly, recently, with this whole new search option, they released an Instagram magazine where they announced that you should share your reels to stories. So they're having a huge push for reels. So they want you to share the reels, but not the posts. I don't make up the rules, but this is what I've heard. So that's the question. That's my answer to your question. I personally would think if you'd like to show your post on your stories, you can always, most people create their posts on Canva. You can resize it to stories format and just say, go check out my profile for a new post or something like that. That is just my opinion. Until this new upgrade is going to be released, then we know. Yeah, so the complaint is that they don't like they want original content. So what happens is that you can take a picture of yourself, for example. You can keep a picture of yourself and post a sticker on top of it. Therefore, it is still original content with the post on top of it instead of the post on its own. It's the dumbest, honestly, it's so dumb, but this is the updates that is happening. I do not make the rules again. So it's dumb. And the thing is, they are also just battling with themselves because they know that a lot of small businesses rely on this. So small businesses are going to go in uproar if they take away the reshare feature. But yeah, it's a thing that's happening. Okay. What are the best times of day or days of the week that are best to post? How often should I post? So we'll go over that towards the end. I will make sure of that. But I want to go through the couple other ones before. So we have IG Lives and Rooms. So we have, I honestly think that every single time that you go on live, you should announce this. So don't just go on live randomly. No one will join ever. It happens to me all the time, regardless of how engaged your audience is. It's just because they didn't know. They didn't know. And so whether that is through a post or through a story with a notification sticker on it, always put an announcement on it. Always put it in your stories with a notification sticker so that people can be notified by the app. So definitely announce the IG Live or the rooms. If you are going on live and doing an educational presentation, you can always create a PowerPoint. So one of the cool things is you can go on Instagram, on Canva, and create an Instagram story and pretty much create the PowerPoint in that sizing. I believe it's 1080 by 1920. The only thing is you have to keep in mind where your frame goes, which is in the top right corner. And so I always find it useful to create a PowerPoint if you are going to do a sort of educational presentation instead of just talking, just because people like to read in reference to, and you can repurpose it to an IGTV in later once you're done with the live. I always believe that you should have topics of conversation prepared just in case you're interviewing someone or you're about to go live solo. So, for example, today I went on live and I was talking about how I wanted to get my community's input on a reel that I was making for a partnership. And I knew that that's what I was talking about, and I knew it wouldn't go more than 30 minutes. So that's all I talked about. And then I was like, okay, thank you, goodbye. The good thing about Reels, not Reels, IG Lives and Rooms is community building. So if you go on live with people, their followers get notified as well as you, which is super cool and usually super awesome just to exchange followers. So when I go on lives with someone and or rooms, I always take in consideration if they are my competitor or they have a follower type that I can benefit from. Therefore, my following will grow of the target market that I have in mind, instead of just going on live with random people that may or may not have the same follower type that I'm trying to sell my services to. So I highly recommend doing lives and or rooms with other businesses. You can also add a question sticker before you go on live. I would post it maybe 20 hours before you go on live, because the sticker will only live on stories for 24 hours. So if you do put a sticker within the 20-hour mark, you can use that sticker to reference in lives, so you don't have to keep asking people to ask for questions in the spot. You can have people ask for questions 20 hours before the live. You can also have a series. I used to have a series called Small Business IG Live series, where I would feature small businesses that I was obsessed with. So you can definitely do any type of series on there, and it just makes it more organized for people to watch on the when they go back and watch you on IGTV. And always add a title. I feel like people always forget this one, and if you make it eye-catching enough, people will click on it. So if you add a title that says like, hey, we're talking about confidence and energy building, that's what you guys are talking about. The one thing that I will not, I don't recommend is I've seen people take advantage of this and say like, hey, you have a notification from so-and-so, or so-and-so has sent you a message, and they make it seem like a notification sticker. Therefore, a lot of people click on it and they just take it to the lives. That's the one thing that I've seen, and I'm like, really? That's just trickery. I don't agree with that. So definitely those are key things to keep in mind when it comes to IG Lives. I'm going to skip this one just so that I can keep going. IGTV strategies, always keep them storytelling. So either tell a story to make it relatable, show your personality, and in order to convey a message within 5 to 7 minutes. I wouldn't keep it any longer than that. Personally, I would even recommend 3 to 5 minutes, because of how things are going and our attention span is just getting less and less. But again, you can do it into a series, and you can repurpose IG lives into IGTVs. So keep that in mind when you are keeping the length of your IG lives. So if you're going to do 30 minutes or an hour, you can definitely look into that. Also pick a topic when it comes to your IGTV. Don't talk and just ramble, because on IG lives you can go ahead and do that, but in IGTV it's better to just talk about one specific thing and do it quickly, because again, our attention spans are just so small, and pretty much IGTV is like a mini YouTube. So yeah, again, use the swipe up feature when you're using it and sharing it to stories. You don't have to actually share the actual IGTV to stories. You can just link it and do a swipe up as well. I think I have one more. So we have DM strategies. Quickly, we'll go through this. So answer any questions via DMs. I always do a welcome message. So this is one thing that I do differently than most Instagram strategists, is I do a welcome message. If you follow me or recently followed me, you will probably receive it. And it's not a robot. It is I sending you this every single time that I get a new follower. This welcome message introduces your brand or you as a business, and also keeps the conversation going. So I love to hear people. I'm a really good listener, so I love to hear people's stories. So I say, hey, like, what are your goals? Or like, what is your business about? Tell me the tea. And I will respond with a genuine response instead of like a robot saying like, that's awesome, or something like that, you know? So a welcome message is really good to do. Never sell though. Never ever sell unless it's free. The one time I did DM a lot of people was because I was hosting a free challenge, and people really appreciated that I sent in the DM because they didn't even know about the challenge because of how the algorithm works. So that is the only way I would ever recommend that. But even then, it will take a lot of time to send to everyone. So I would just stick to never selling on DMs. It's free, and it's pretty much easy to build community on there. That's what makes Instagram an amazing app in comparison to TikTok. You can actually communicate with people instead of just going in the comments. That's why a lot of TikTokers have realized this, and their call to action on their profile is, hey, check me out on Instagram, and just make it fun. I feel like people take this too seriously, as in like professionalism, but just be you, make it fun, talk about whatever you want to talk about, but just be who you are and be relatable to people, and make sure that you come off as a human, not a business. Do we have any questions in regards to that? I know I'm like going way over. Sorry. This happens all the time. Okay, I'm going to quickly just go through this engagement analytics so that you can go ahead and look at. So you have your engagement rate, your impressions, just in case that no one knows, and your reach, and all of these. And these are the analytics that you should keep in mind when you are calculating your engagement. So the impressions, the higher the impression, the more Instagram algorithm likes your content. So I always base the impressions as the relationship with the algorithm, because the impressions is how many people it was pushed out to, not how many people actually saw it. Reach is the higher the reach, the more people saw your content. So they actually saw it, whether it was for a second or it was just displayed on their screen as they scrolled. Likes, comments, this is supposed to say saves and shares, should go up the more reach and impressions that you have. So one thing that I like to use an example as is Reels. Sometimes you post a reel and people tell me like, hey, Mari, like I got a ton of views. And I'm like, okay, great. And then I look at their engagement, which is like their likes, comments. They got like 3 likes and like 10 views. 10,000 impressions or reach. And I was just like, oh my God, like their engagement is just not there. So what didn't resonate with the audience as it was portrayed, as it was like pushed out by the algorithm. So those are different things to keep in mind. And that's pretty much it. I'm sorry I went over. I'm so sorry. So if anyone has any questions, thank you. Yeah, so it's not an auto message, it's just like an actual message that you can write to people like, hey, let me read you mine, and if you followed me recently, you probably received it, but hold on, just so I can give you an example. So mine says, hey, I'm Mari. I wanted to juice myself. I founded Latinx Marketing to create a community for Latinx and BIPOC small business entrepreneurs looking to upgrade their Instagram marketing strategies and tactics, and I'm so glad you're here. As a new member of Latinx Marketing Community, I'd love to invite you to watch my IG lives. All of our lives are jam-packed with useful strategies and tactics you won't want to miss. I also love meeting each individual community member and learning about what they do. So I would love to hear more about you and your business goals. And pretty much I give the opportunity to the person to respond to me. Some people think it's a bot, so some people don't respond. But as long as they give me a heart or some sort of response, then I recognize them and I'm like, okay, cool. This is also a really good indicator to show you who is a bot on Instagram and who is not, and who is going to engage with your content and who is not. So one thing is you should continue to clean out your followers every so often. So this could be an indicator. Did they respond? Do they engage? If not, remove. So yeah. The one question I forgot to ask, what are the best times or days of the week that are best to post? How often should I post? So recently I got an email from Later, which is a scheduling app, that stated that the best time to post was early morning. I am still unsure of that. I need to test it out. But they are recommending anywhere as early as 6 in the morning. And I personally think that's crazy. But according to them, that is what they said. In my personal opinion, I think that you should go to Insights, which is on your profile. If you have a creator or a business profile, go to your followers, and at the very bottom, it tells you the most active times right here. And then post an hour to 2 hours before the most active time on Instagram. Because you will they're more likely to see it right after than they are right when they wake up. Like I said, I don't know. I haven't tested the 6 a.m. thing, but that's what they currently have said. And then how often should I post? I will always recommend you should post the amount of times that you find comfortable. So the algorithm will want you to post all the time. I mean, it's a common thing. They want you to be on the app all the time, therefore post all the time. But for your own sanity, you can go ahead and post whenever you personally like. So for example, I post, I believe, on 3 to 4 times a week, and I don't post weekends. I've made that clear as day. As long as you communicate to your followers, you're like, hey, I am off on weekends because your girl is tired. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. But yeah, that's my personal opinion, because I don't want you to burn out. So why should I recommend you to post every freaking day, 3 times a day? No. Any other questions?
Oh my God, so much information to take in, Mari. This is so great.
That was a lot. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, obviously, there is a need for all these questions, and what better way to go right to the source? You, an expert in Instagram. So, please, everyone, I dropped in the links to follow Mari on Instagram, send her DMs if you have any additional questions. Also, sign up for her newsletter. I dropped the link on the chat as well. That way, she can send you all the little nuggets that she has, even after this webinar is it's over. So, yeah, thank you again, Mari, for all this information. Even me, that I do marketing, I learned new stuff and that I need to play with and integrate and implement as well. So, thank you so much. Please follow her on her Instagram page. Go to her website, Latinx Marketing. I believe Jai posted the link on the chat earlier today. And does anyone have any other questions for her? I think we
Yeah.
got all of them. Yeah, I think we got all the questions answered.
Okay, yeah. So like you said, definitely follow me on Instagram. I'll definitely DM you, and it is not a bot, so please feel free to respond to me. And also check out my course. I have 10 more days until I'm enrolling people into the course. You can work with me one-on-one, but it's really just setting up your profile to be Instagram, what I like to say, stalkable, because people do stalk people on Instagram, let's just face it. And of course, we go over building one of my favorite portions is we go over building confidence on Instagram, because I feel like a lot of the times people say like, oh, like I don't like showing up on stories, or I don't like showing up on video. And 99.9% of the time it's just because they don't have the confidence to do that. So we go over that as well in the course. And then of course, some strategies, more in-depth strategies for each feature on the, for Instagram. So it's jam-packed.
And that link for the course is also already in the chat. So feel free to scroll up and you'll find it there. Or just send Maria DM and she'll resend it to you as well.
Yeah. Or if you're not ready to do the investment, you can sign up for my newsletter and get a freebie. And pretty much it's just like a checklist, so that you can, every time you post on Instagram, you pull out this checklist and you're like, okay, is this done? This done? Okay, now I can go ahead and post.
Yay! Well, thank you so much, Mari, for your time, for the knowledge, for the experience. I'm pretty sure our Latinistas have a lot of information to digest and take in. And, they took notes. Now they have to go and implement all these new strategies and tactics for their own content, for their business, for their podcast, for their communities, for their personal brands. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So feel free to send me any questions. I'm an open book. I'm all about together we rise, and we're so much stronger that way. So feel free to DM me.
I love it. All right. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for everyone that stayed past the 1 hour mark. You guys are amazing. You guys are troopers. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And until the next one, if you guys don't know, we have our summer book club for tomorrow. If you haven't signed up, go to our website, thelatinista.com. Sign up for that book club series, and we'll see you tomorrow. And if not, till the next one. I think we have to do the Reels 101, Mari.
We should. Okay.
All right. Bye, everyone. Good night. Have a good one. Besitos. Bye.